Good evening, everyone. This is Ryan Hoyme, aka Massage Nerd, and today we have Margie Brooks. Welcome, Margie.
Hi, Ryan.
Right. So we're going to be talking a little bit about evidence-based massage, manual therapy, all that fun stuff. Then, right?
Yes, we are.
Okay. And it will not be boring. I guarantee you. Anything with Marjorie is not boring.
I'll take that as a compliment.
Yep. So, how'd you get interested in evidence-based?
Well, it's not so much that I'm interested in it. It's just that the whole debate behind it that's going on right now, evidence-based versus energy, should we be manual therapists, all these labeling that's going out there is, I think, the way it's being approached is doing a little more damage than good. I am all for evidence-based massage. It should be standard in every school. You know, they should teach our students not only how to read a research study, but how to apply it to their practice and how to conduct one and be part of one. That's all very, very, very important, and I totally believe that that should be a part of any main massage school's curriculum. The problem that we're having is that a lot of the evidence-based how shall we say, crusaders, are kind of going to extremes, as you have with any strong belief that's out there. And they're going from now everything that's not proven or evidence-based is no good. I mean, I literally received a Facebook friend request the other day from a therapist, and I agreed to the friendship, and I got a message from her saying that she's all about evidence-based and she's trying to connect with similar thinking therapist. If I'm into candles or that frou-frou energy stuff, she wants nothing to do with me. And I was like, really? Like, okay. The thing is, you can't have one without the other. This whole trying to, I'm not saying we need the evidence base. I use evidence in my practice and when I teach and I present the latest studies, but people don't understand that for every study that says yay, there's one that might say nay. And you have to understand specifically more than what the synopsis says in the beginning of the research. And you shouldn't be going by what someone else summarized on Facebook from the synopsis about a research. You need to know how to properly read and understand that research, and then it's valid, and then how to apply it. For example, I used to teach infant massage, and I used to promote using vitamin E topically. Doing my SCAR class as well, and then a study came out from the University of Miami saying that vitamin E topically actually retards the healing process by 50%, and it turns out over 15% of the population is allergic to vitamin E and didn't know it. This is a valid thing that research brought to my practice, and I make sure that I teach that when I'm teaching my SCAR work. And so that's necessary, but for someone to turn around and say, well, energy work is now bunk, and if it's not, if you can't prove it through a research, then it's not valid. That's going to extremes, and I don't think we should have either end. I think it should be a combination somewhere, happy dance in the middle, because energy work has been around forever. We're energy beings, and you can't really have one without the other. You just can't.
Yep, and the thing is, research is really big now too. Do you think it's helping, or do you think we are still a long ways off then?
In the massage field, I think any form of research is helping. My only concern, anytime you can have something validate your work, that's awesome. I just don't think you should use belief in research to disprove someone else's, or to say that, well, there's no research to say that your work and what you're doing works. Well, I have to tell you, there's all kinds of research studies out there that say you shouldn't stretch. There's been all kinds of articles that you can't stretch muscles and you can't be effective. Well, my answer to that is, well, I can only say from the fact that the results that I see and the experiences I have in my practice, and every one of my clients that is involved with therapeutic stretching has seen a health improvement, has seen flexibility improvement, has seen an overall balance throughout their body. So no research study that's out there is going to tell me that what I'm doing is wrong, because I can experience that it's correct. So long as you're not doing harm to somebody and what you're doing is benefiting them, whether someone wants to say, well, it's a placebo effect or not, I don't really care. The point is my client is getting better. The main thing we need to understand with all of this is that you really need to understand every form of therapy. You need to know the research, but you also need to have the knowledge behind every type of therapy that's out there, how it's applied, what it's based on, before you turn around and say it's not worth anything.
And where can people get this information? I mean, people post on Facebook one thing and then another thing, kind of thing, and
yes, we know it's yes, Virginia. There is a Santa Claus.
yeah.
On the Facebook that, if it's on Facebook, then it has to be true.
Yep.
That is not true. Yeah. The whole point is that if you find somebody posts something on Facebook and it's in contrary to what you believe or it's supporting in what you believe, you can't just take that person's post. You have to sit there and read the study, not just a little blurb in the beginning. You have to read the study. You have to see what the variables are. You have to see how it applies to your specific situation with your client or the work that you do. What kind of population was tested? How was this study conducted? And if everything in that falls in line with what you believe, fantastic. Let's all get up and do a happy dance. But just don't assume that everything is exactly the way you want. There was a research study, we'll go back to stretching, and that said that stretching the hamstring, they did a test on stretching the hamstrings, and said that the results showed that it didn't show any improvement. But they tested 1 out of 3 hamstrings under a specific setting and didn't pay attention to any of the other muscles, which, by the way, all work in conjunction with the hamstring. So unless they actually removed the hamstring off a living person and tested it under those variables, I can't go. I don't agree with the results of that research study. Doesn't mean somebody else can't agree with it. Myself personally, I don't agree with it. So I don't use that as a basis for the way I practice.
Yeah, and have you heard of the website quackwatch.org?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, because they're bashing about every single thing possible and stuff in the alternative health field.
Well, also remember, controversy also begets popularity. Some people are just controversial on purpose because it keeps them in the forefront. Controversy is a good thing. People need to display their opinions. You believe in this, I believe in that. Well, hey, you're entitled to your opinion. The only issue that we have is that when we get on forums on Facebook or any of the other social media, is that because people are sitting behind their computers, they're very aggressive and rather unprofessional in the way that they post. You should never ever just assume that what you do in your opinion is correct and invalidate someone else's that they believe in it. You can state reasons why you believe that why you do what you do, and in contrary to what someone else does, but you don't have a right at that point to say, I stated this, so, yours is no fit. We can all have civil conversations. We can agree to disagree, state what it is that we agree in, what we believe in, and what we don't believe in, and then let whoever's listening to the conversation choose which sounds right for them. Again, so long as no harm is being done to anyone physically with the work that's being talked about, there's absolutely no reason to be rude and nasty to each other. Something that I really find offensive and I think is really rising in the massage profession, and I really wish it would stop because it's not doing us any good.
Yeah, because massage therapy has survived thousands of years already, but it's just blowing up in a weird way now and stuff. It seems.
Okay, we're doing all these research, right? Acupuncture has been around way before there was research, and it's been a valid therapy. And people and research proves that it works, and there's other research out there that I've read that said it doesn't. That it's just old, Chinese hokum. Then let's take a look at myofascial release for a second. Myofascial release, when you list, was basically thought of as a manual but mainly energy form of work and manipulating of the fascia. Because it's an actual technique that manipulates the fascia, it has become like one of the main tools that they're using in research for fascia and how massage affects the fascia, which is fantastic. But if we remember, not too long ago, myofascial release was thought as, new age wackadoodle stuff. It was considered in the energy field, the energy area for a lot of people. Not everyone, but people who were not familiar with the subject. Now myofascial release is valid because it's being used in the research. So if it was hokum beforehand and valid now, there's a possibility that all the other treatments out there have worked and really shouldn't, negate things. We should all get along.
Yeah, should, yeah.
The doctors do it as well. If you go to a specialist to figure out what's wrong with you, you should never do that. If you have something wrong and you're trying to be diagnosed, you need to go to a general practitioner who can have a wider field of view. If you go straight to the specialist is going to diagnose you and treat you through their specialty and maybe miss the whole problem. So if someone came to me and was asking me about another technique, a technique that I don't do or is not something that I prefer or like, I still have a thorough understanding of that technique, and I explain what the approach of that technique is and what the point that they're trying to do. And then I will say, from my point of view, I don't care for it for this reason, but that shouldn't mean that you shouldn't try it to see if it speaks to you. I mean, every technique, you need that huge toolbox, and you need to, not just have an array of tools, but you need to understand how to use the tools. You need to read the instructions.
And I have a theory. I think a lot of these thoughts and beliefs actually start in massage school. Do you believe with that?
Oh, yeah. I do this little line when I teach, and, everybody in the class is an excellent therapist, and they all do excellent work, but everybody has blinders on. Okay, because they're looking at the body and they're looking at therapy through the way they were taught, through the beliefs and the eyes of their instructors from this particular school they went to. Doesn't mean they're wrong. It means they've just got a little bit of tunnel vision. And what I try to do in my classes is get them to open up those blinders just a little bit and see the forest for the trees. See that there's other possibilities, that we can integrate other therapies. Don't get rid of your favorite tool. Use your favorite hammer. Use your favorite, saw. But don't get rid of the other tools in the toolbox because they're not the ones you use all the time, because you never know what job you might need them for. In other words, you might find something that's better for a different client. Our clients are not all the same, and you shouldn't just approach using just the idea of I'm only ever going to use this one technique and this one approach. I had a client who was in severe back pain. I took her about 80% out of the way with my stretching, and I couldn't get that last 20%. She was still irritated, and I said, would she mind? I explained what myofascial release is, and would she mind if I tried that technique? And she just flew open. It was awesome. She responded to it like crazy. She absolutely loved the technique. And she comes to me now. That's the only thing she wants is myofascial release. But when she refers other people to me, she still tells them what got her out of pain and got her functioning in her life was the stretching. But she loves the myofascial release. So I had another tool to help me that little bit extra, and then found something that client speaks to that client. So there's no one if, and, or other. There is no one end-all, be-all technique. There is no one end-all, be-all way of approaching and looking at things. You need the evidence base. You need the research. You need to understand research. And at the same time, you need the energy work. And in defense of the evidence-based people as well, and the technical people, you have energy workers who know nothing about the body. That is also incorrect. If you're going to be working with someone, energy or not, if you're laying hands on, even if you're just doing therapeutic touch or Reiki, you should have an understanding of how the body works and all the diseases and disorders that you're supposedly coming in to work energy with. Because otherwise, you don't understand the person that you're working with. You need to understand who and what this person is and what they're going through, physically, mentally, and emotionally, before you do any form of treatment. Whether you're rolfing, whether you're stretching, whether you're doing Reiki, whether you do any form, basic Swedish massage, everyone needs to know how the body functions.
Yeah, I wish you could. Yeah, it's so frustrating. I mean, there's so many things, and then a lot of times, especially people fresh out of school, sometimes they just take their word of their instructors. That's the way it should be too sometimes, and sometimes their instructors aren't educated enough in those areas. And
well, that goes back to that we do need a better unified curriculum in the main massage schools, which include research, which include dealing with the emotional and mental side of the work that we do, dealing with the laws and regulations of that state, because so many students graduate not knowing what the laws and rules are of their particular state or their scope of practice, if there is one, which leads to problems with billing and advertising as well for them. And it's not that they shouldn't take their word for their instructors. I mean, their instructors got them through their school. The point is, you should never take anybody's one word or opinion, even if it's your favorite person and your mentor, excuse me, your accent there, and your mentor. You still need to research on your own. You still need to go and listen to someone with an opposite point of view. Because how better are you going to understand or believe in what you believe in if you don't see what the opposite is? That it sums up. I'll sum it up with energy work and evidence-based people and how you can't have one without the other. If you have the desire or the urge to dance naked under the moonlight, well, you know what? More power to you. But you have to also be aware of the effects of gravity on any unsupported appendages. You cannot have one understanding without the other. It doesn't work.
And for the last few years too, I've seen a lot with lactic acid and stuff too. And it's
well, that's research coming out. We had poor information and new information came out. Again, there's always going to be new information, and we need to be kept abreast of that. For example, I mean, if you look back, let's go back centuries. We'll go back to Asian traditional medicine back in the day where they didn't believe in cutting open the body and doing cadaver work, but they still came pretty close to understanding the energy systems. They came pretty close to what the organs were and where they were and what they did. Then centuries go by, the Europeans come in, technology comes in, and like, oh, we have no problem, we'll cut the body open. And all of a sudden we learned so much more. Our knowledge was expanded beyond belief from doing that. And now, let's flash forward to present day. Now we have the fascial congresses, and we have Gil Hedley and Tom Myers and David Kent, who all turned around and said, okay, what if we approach doing autopsies a different way? What if we turn the scalpel around and go sideways and go layer by layer and look at all the information we have now? There's always going to be new points of view, new information coming in, and that is awesome, and we all need to keep abreast of that. We all need to incorporate it, but we also can't just trust blindly, and we shouldn't be throwing the baby out with the bathwater. If something's been working for you for a long time and for your clients, don't let anyone else say, hey, you shouldn't be doing that anymore because there's no evidence to prove that. Okay, I think you need both. Both are very, very important. You know, it's not just one or the other. It's never been. Energy work and simply the effects of being in a room and taking your time to work with somebody. It's almost like the other war that we're having in the massage world is the medically oriented therapeutic massage versus the frou-frou spa relaxation massage. Well, I'm sorry. They're both very valid. Both are necessary. It is as important for someone to take an hour out of their crazy life and just go and get a simple relaxation, feel good, get rid of my stress, candles burning, nice classical music on the radio, on the stereo, as it is for them to go and get actual medical condition-specific treatments and massage. They both have their place. They're both extremely important. One does not outweigh the other. And it's not just in this country, because I've heard it when I've taught overseas as well. In the UK, they have two levels for them. It's sports massage and remedial massage, which is basically like our medical massage versus relaxation massage. And I hear it there too. The sports massage therapists look down on the remedial massage therapists. And I don't understand. We're all massage therapists. We're all there trying to treat and do something better. Just because one likes to do more relaxation and more of the stones and anything like that versus someone who likes to get in and, you know, origin insertion and let's move this muscle and let's do some testing for this muscle and figure out specific. They're both needed. They both have their place. They're both really important. There isn't one more important than the other.
Yeah, and also too, I mean, with Massage Envy, I mean, that's it. Massage Envy, in a way, it actually helps advertise other businesses and stuff like that. But so many therapists just wreck the heck out of it. But the thing is, it's putting food on the table for many therapists too. It's like,
oh, I won't disagree with you then. I've heard people speak about Massage Envy, and I'll say the first thing about them is that they do try to provide continuing ed. And if they didn't provide, if there weren't massage therapists who were designed to work for them, who were not ready to do their own practice, who weren't sure of themselves, who didn't know how to market or needed medical insurance, or whatnot, and they're willing to take the lesser fee in exchange for not having to work at a private practice, then there's nothing wrong with that. What would be wrong is if they give a lesser massage, or they're not qualified, that they're hiring people who are willing to come work for that, and they'll hire anybody because they don't have the proper education. The person working in Massage Envy should be as qualified as the person doing private practice, the person working in a hospital, the person working in a gym. There should be an equal level of standard ability to do a massage, or even if they want to classify like they do in Canada, where they have the registered massage therapist versus the unregistered. The unregistered are the ones that are doing the relaxation. Not to say that they're any less, but they've already known, established when you walk in, this is of a different quality of education, and the client has the right to choose which one they want. They're not just being assigned somebody. And therein lies the problem. Everybody has, in every business, there's the qualified person, and then there's the person on the bottom of the rung that they keep around because they need an extra body to work. And that you can't control. But you would hope that that's the only real problem with the franchises is due to the fact that they need bodies. They tend to not worry too much about the quality of the therapist, so long as they're licensed or whatever's required for that state. But on the flip side, they are providing a work environment that certain people need and thrive from. It's no different. And they also are getting more people to want and like and be introduced to massage. They're offering a lesser expense. Some other people would not go to a more expensive massage therapist ever. They got a massage or a gift certificate for a lesser massage, and like, oh, I like this, and maybe they'll branch out and try someone else and find out they like something, they want something more. There's no reason, again, to poo-poo that end of it.
And how do energy work practitioners defend themselves?
In regard to what? Against evidence-based?
Yeah.
There's no reason to defend. That's the whole thing. That's where we get a problem. The answer is you don't pick up and you don't answer to that. You just say, I believe in what I do, and I make a difference with my clients, and nobody can tell me otherwise or stop me from doing that. The thing that people need to understand is that they shouldn't be poo-pooing the choice of technique. There may be unqualified people, or a lot of the problems with energy work, and you can get it in any practice, you can get it in massage as well, is the shysters, or the con artists, or the people who really aren't qualified, the people who do a weekend Reiki class and put a shingle out and start charging as much as a qualified massage therapist. That I don't agree with. I do energy work, but I never charge for it because it's just universal. I charge for my massage practice, my stretching practice. The main thing is that if people want to go against other people, if it's a specific person or a specific someone who's doing something wrong or incorrect, that you can go after. But you can't go after an energy worker because they don't believe in the same things you do. It's basically like saying that that people shouldn't pray because you don't believe in the power of prayer. But we've all seen and read stories about faith and how people have, because of their faith and the community coming together and praying. Is it the act that they prayed to the Lord, or the fact that that energy of that entire community came together and was focused on one area? Who's to say? Not me. All I know is that the baby got better, or the person got better, because everybody came together with a positive thought and energy towards that one person or situation. So the best thing for people who practice energy and feel that they're under attack from evidence-based is to say, just not pick up, just don't pick it up. Just walk away and say, I believe in what I do. There's no reason to argue. And it's the same thing for on the flip side, because there are energy people that go crazy after the evidence-based people, saying that you're trying to control and label our industry. They're not trying. Some maybe, but the majority are not. They're trying to improve and give us a knowledge base and a respect. Some will say respectability, but I don't believe you can get respectability by doing evidence-based. You're just doing validity, validation more than respectability. So it goes in for that. We want to really try to stop splitting hairs and splitting up the profession. There's a place for everybody. We should all come together to promote all the different aspects and promote each other, and have different forms of therapists that do different types of therapy and refer our clients back and forth. So the benefit of our client is that they find the therapy that speaks to them. There's no reason to be defensive. There's no reason to fight. There's no reason I just don't agree with any of that. And I think it just lessens. And it just shouldn't be that way. I mean, we're so busy poo-pooing everybody. Massage therapists poo-poo, PTs, physical therapists look down on massage therapists. None of us like doctors. It shouldn't be that way. Unless it's a specific person or a specific practitioner, the way they practice, that's one thing. But the actual profession should not be slammed by anybody for any other profession. And, you know, what should be better, I say to someone who makes a comment like that, is maybe you need to do some research on about how these practices are used. It's actually one of the things I'm trying to do with my new blog. It's called The Holistic Toolbox. Wow, that segued nice, didn't it?
Yeah.
In my head. I'm trying to find, my blog is called The Holistic Toolbox. That's going to be launching tomorrow with the new site. And that is basically, I'm going to try and list a specific disease or disorder and explain it to the best of my ability and research that I pull out and how I would treat. And then I'm asking everyone from doctors to physical therapists, massage therapists, trainers, athletic trainers, anybody who works with people with these things to say how they view this disease or disorder, how they would approach it. The next person doesn't have to agree with the first person, but it's basically an education terminal where everybody can really learn and understand. And it's even open for the general population, for someone who might be going through that particular disease and disorder. Because when you think about it, if we're busy poo-pooing other people or saying, oh yeah, if you go to physical therapy, they're just going to exercise you, they're not going to stretch you, and it's going to be horrible and all this, we're not empowering our clients. We're making it worse for them. Somebody who's got a disease or a disorder, they're already afraid. They're already confused. They don't know what to do. They don't know what to ask. And they're just basically looking for people to tell them what to do. And that's wrong. What we should be doing is helping them have information so they can make an informed decision about how they want to proceed for their own personal health. And that's really more what it's supposed to be. And so I'm inviting everybody that with the Holistic Toolbox to please chime in so that we can help each other learn and help our clientele. And at the same time, you can have an energy worker saying they approach it from this, and you can have an evidence-based person saying research shows this, and it's just going to give the general population a very solid base of how to make their decisions. Oh, but by the way, no selling, no pitching. Anybody who sells or anybody who's mean and nasty and doesn't have proper rules of social etiquette, we will delete your posts. About that, or I will return it to you praise.
Yeah. And then delete them permanently.
Anybody permanently, everybody has a chance to get there, and I will delete anyone who does that. And I do it on Facebook as well. I will come out and say, you know, that's not acceptable. I have a really, really big personal issues with people being just non-professional and just not having proper social etiquette towards other people. It does not represent you well. It does not represent the profession well at all.
Yeah, on a daily basis on my fan page, I get people posting their content all the time, trying to advertise their stuff and trying to sell their products and stuff, and it's just like, oh.
It's well, everybody has to market their products and do what they need, but, you know, do it within your...
Just one moment.
Are we back?
Yep, we're back.
Yay!
Yeah.
Technical problems with electricity and technical things in myself, as I told you before, Ryan, not always a good thing.
Yeah, just don't touch anything.
Touch anything, I swear. My hands have been up here the whole time. I'm just trying not to talk with them.
Yeah. Yeah, and Selena in the chat says, I completely agree with having to better our education. I've been teaching for 7.5 years and witnessed many changes, but there's definite need for more action on this topic.
There is. And it goes for everything. It's like right now one of the other big discussions was about that we should stop using the word massage therapist and call ourselves manual therapists. Oh, please. We really need to stop trying to label ourselves to define ourselves. We are massage therapists. We might be someone who specializes as a rolfer or sexual integration. I happen to be a massage therapist who specializes in scar tissue work and therapeutic stretching. Okay, but the thing is we're not just manual therapists, because that means we don't pay any attention to to the emotional or the physical or the mental, which of course, as you know, has an 80% effect on all that is physical. And that is part of what we do. And so I really have a problem with people labeling and trying to pigeonhole things. Let's have a wider view and just have clear definitions of everything that people can refer to, and increase our education at the basic level within massage schools. You know, there should be kinesiology in every school. There should be an understanding of this, not just basic physiology, but you need the kinesiology. You need the research and the ability to do that. You also need courses on emotional intelligence and how, you know, one of the big things with our practice is we're told that our work evokes emotional responses, but it's not in our scope of practice to really handle it. Okay. You can't leave it open-ended like that. Classes need to be given on how to deal with emotional releases, how to recognize them, how to deal with your clients, how to protect yourself as a therapist. All of that is needed, and all of that should be in your basic massage therapy program. And I really don't want to hear from the people running schools, but that will make our program longer, and people want to get out quicker. Well, to that, because a solid education is a solid education, and if we want to improve our profession, then we have to have a base curriculum that will encompass all of those things, not just evidence-based, not just basic manual techniques, but higher range of what it is that we deal with, including, like I said, there's business and ethics classes in massage school, but how many of them actually review the state laws so that the person graduates knowing exactly what they are and are not allowed to do? You know, they know they're not supposed to date their clients, but do they know that medical billing in their state is required that you have to pay a flat fee? You can't let the medical biller take a percentage. But if they called any medical biller, the medical biller will say, oh, we work on percentage of what we take in. Because it's not their job to know that. It's the licensed professional's job to know that. These are all little things in different states, and this is all the education that I find lacking when people graduate.
Yeah, and then Travis asked if you could please repeat the website.
Oh, my website?
Yeah.
The website, the new website, ta-da! It's actually launching tomorrow, but we're announcing it tonight with a client. Thank you very much. Yeah. Would be MarjorieBrookSeminars.com. MarjorieBrookSeminars.com. If you have my old site, brookseminars.com, it will be, hopefully, if not tonight, by tomorrow, referring to the newer site. And you can also catch the great discussions. We have the Brook Seminars page on Facebook as well. Come like us there, because that's another good forum where if you have questions, you guys do amazing with Ryan. Not to take away from Ryan as well. Ryan is one of the best forums around, and everybody should, you know, really appreciate all that he's done for asking questions. But we have a forum over there too. If you have a specific question, you can ask there as well, and we'll share it back and forth.
Yeah, there's more than enough room for everybody.
It is. You never know. You might just catch someone who's on my page and they have an opinion or they have advice that you can use. Whereas if you're on Ryan's, you know, someone on Ryan's might do that. The more people you ask the question to, the more information you get, the better. One of my other big things that I love, and everybody's heard me say it a billion times, is that knowledge is power. You don't have to agree with the knowledge, but you're still supposed to understand that knowledge. You know, you can be devout in your religion, but you have to understand that you really should understand the basis in the other religions. Just to have that knowledge, so that when you have a discussion, that you are informed. It's really the biggest thing for me is knowledge is power, giving the power back to our clients, helping them empower themselves, and research. And understand. I have clients who come in who don't have any idea exactly what their disease or disorder is, or the medications that they've had, where the doctor said there's no side effects. There's no such thing as no side effects. There's side effects from everything. There's side effects from having a conversation with your mother. There's a side effect from someone getting a massage, good or bad. There's an effect, and you should be informed about that. I had a client who came to me after going regularly to a spa. And I was working on her, and I used moist hot towels on the back and on the feet. And she said, "Oh, that's so nice. You know, it's a little different than the hot stones I normally got." And I stopped and I asked him. I said, "You have low blood pressure and high blood pressure. You're not supposed to be getting the hot stone treatment." I said, "Didn't you feel dizzy and lightheaded after the stone treatment?" She goes, "Yes, but I thought that was all part of the effects of the treatment, and I was supposed to feel that way." because they didn't ask her about blood pressure, and she didn't know that she wasn't supposed to get hot stone treatments. Like, the public has to be informed. You shouldn't try anything. If you have a disease or disorder or a condition, you shouldn't try something new without making sure that what doesn't have an adverse effect with what you have. And you shouldn't be allowing a therapist, a doctor, a trainer, and to all of my personal trainers and ATCs out there as well, anybody put their hands on or make a recommendation for you to do something different and exercise or something unless you understand how that particular technique or exercise affects your or is associated with your disease or disorder. Again, if you don't understand, don't do.
And then a question in the chat. It's not totally related to what you're talking about, but what is a good way to get clients when you're done with school?
Oh, that's a whole course in and of itself.
Yep.
I would say if you're looking to stay in your own private practice, I say for everyone they should try, if they're up for it, to work in a spa just to get the experience, because you'll be exposed. But make sure it's a good spa that pays you well and respects you as a therapist and doesn't use you as a workhorse. But there's you can advertise. There's your Facebook pages. There's I'll be honest. When I first started, and I've been a massage therapist for since 2007, no, since 1997. When I first started, I actually put flyers up in all the local train stations on the entire run, the train line that was near my house. I put up ads just right on all the bulletin boards. I took ads out in the local penny saver. I also did a lot of volunteer work. I did chair massage in a lot of places. I joined a lot of networking groups. There's a myriad of ways that you can bring clients in, and word of mouth is always the best. Though, get yourself some clients, and you can start with your family and tell them to refer people to you. You know, just make sure you don't do a bad massage and then your family loses their friends, because that's never a good thing.
No. And then there's this whole debate too about manual therapists compared to massage therapists too and stuff. And
no, we mentioned that before. Again, labeling is, we're not manual therapists. I mean, we manually do work with the body, but that is not all that we are. And if you label yourself as just a manual therapist, you're leaving out the fact, and you're telling me, if you tell me you're a manual therapist, you're telling me that you're not really paying attention to the other aspects of the body, of the emotional and the mental, and taking the time to deal with the client on that level, actually lay hands on them. And again, all of this thing about labeling and putting names on, that's perspective. Okay, that's people's point of view. People don't understand that no one perceives anything the same. Like, Brian, what is your definition of a deep massage? It's not the same, I'm sure, as what my definition of the word deep means, or your client's word of what the word deep means. It's all about perspective. It's like the best way I can say it with understanding things is when your client gets on the table for the first time, and you walk in and they look like an S or a snake, and you straighten them out to do the massage. And then what's the first thing your client says to me? They're like, oh, I feel crooked now. Okay, because their perception of their body and how it was that they were straight, but they weren't, because there are things going on, but that has become their norm. People's perspective and understanding from words and definitions and labels to techniques is individualistic. As much as your clients are individual and you need different techniques, you need to understand that everybody's perspective and understanding of simple words like deep is different. And you don't want to classify or label anything. A big trend with the spas years ago, they would advertise a certain price for a relaxation massage, and then there was the Swedish massage or therapeutic massage. They charge $10. Now they do Swedish massage as their basic relaxation massage, and they consider the therapeutic massage the deep tissue massage. It's just labeling. Understand what you do and learn how to explain it in 100 different ways, because every client who walks in your door understands things differently. And you need to be able to represent yourself. And that's another big problem that we have in our profession, for people who understand how to explain and represent what it is we do, whether it's your own personal technique or the profession as a whole.
Yeah. And then how long has the evidence belief been around? Because I've only really seen it in the last couple of years.
In regard to our profession,
Yeah.
I mean, evidence has always been there. There's always been people. I mean, ask Leon Chowchow. There's always been research, and it's always been around. There's just been a really big push of late. I know that a lot of it's come from a couple of our few very good Canadian friends. But I also want to make sure that everyone understands something, and I'm not poo-pooing the ones that are currently pushing it coming from the Canadian point of view, but they're not the entire representation of all the Canadian point of view. I teach in Canada, and I taught at a very good school that while they believe in evidence-based and they research it, they also believe in the emotional aspect and the energy aspect, and they don't believe it's one way or the other. It just so happens that there are some people with very strong voices. And again, you have to realize that I'm not saying they're wrong. I believe in some of the things that they're saying, but I'm saying their opinion is not the end-all be-all. You need to go and speak to others. If you think the Canadians have it down because they have such an amazing 2,000 to 3,000 hour program, depending on what province you're in, and the fact that massage therapists are respected on the level of PTs, physical therapists in Canada, that's great, but they all still do not have the exact same opinion about how things are approached. You can't just do that. Would it be great if we had a 2,000 or 3,000 hour program here in the States? That would be awesome. Right now, I'd just be happy that every state required it on the same number of hours and an equal level, whatever that may be.
Yeah, that's a long way off. Yeah, because I just want all the state, because so many people have problems when they go from one state to the next and stuff, and so.
Well, that's the other thing. California. Geez, their requirements are crazy for township and everything else because they're not and registering here and this. Every single state has their own rules, and just because you're nationally certified doesn't mean you're automatically allowed to work in that state. You can be nationally certified, but if you're not a New York State, I hail it in New York. If you're not a New York State licensed therapist, you cannot treat here in New York. People have to understand it's the same thing with lawyers and doctors. They're licensed in their states. They have to get relicensed, but they understand the rules and requirements of each state. I mean, even in New York, technically, if an instructor comes from another state to teach a subject, they are not allowed to actually do the physical hands-on demo in New York. But there are other states that I can go to and I'm not licensed in, or they don't require licensing, and I can do whatever I want in a demonstration, so to speak, within, but it's understanding if you're going to go for a state, or you're going to recommend, or if you're talking to someone who's come from another state, you have to know what's going on in your own state and whatever state it is you want to practice. And there are rules and laws and regulation. And by the way, if you're going to agree with those rules and laws and regulation, then you should get involved in changing them and not just sit back and allow other people to do it for you.
Yeah, and that's scary what's going on with New York about for continuing education and stuff. And
there is a wackadoodle. I have to say the National Council Board for Therapeutic Massage and Bodywork stepped in and did kind of saved all of us. For those who don't know New York.
Well, just be a moment, or
requiring continuing education, but they put a very weird ruling that only a school or an organization could actually be an approved provider. Like they were not accepting NCTVM, but NCTVM came in and said, okay, well, we'll become as an organization an approved provider, which they did. So now, so long as we get approved through NCTVM to be a New York approved provider, I'm once again a New York approved provider. Rules. There's rules about how for insurance billing or when you can't insurance bill, and you have to be informed. You have to find out, when you're in school, when you're out of school, you get out of school, and you have to be kept abreast of all the changes that are happening.
And then you went to the FASHA conference, right?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
I was in Vancouver this past month.
What did you think of that then?
It was awesome. Overwhelming.
Yeah.
huge amount of information. It was incredible to see all of these researchers and doctors get together with massage therapists and share all this information and see how we could work together. There was one major thing that I thought was at the end of the conference. It was requested of the massage therapy world to come up with a basic unified language that the researchers could refer to. I found that interesting, that the few people that there were certain people that were like, well, that can't be done because we teach this way and that would just lengthen the way we do things. And I go, of course it can be done. Everybody goes to school and learns English, and then when you hit junior high, they require you to take another language. Okay, that might not be your language, it's not affecting your English, but you understand that this is, you know, we all have universal ways of doing things, and there's no reason that we can't come up with that. But that was their main request out of that. But all the other information that was given there was just incredible. And again, all of that was research-based. And I saw presentations from massage therapists. There were other stretching practitioners that did incredible presentations as well. There were people that worked with scar work like I do, and their presentations were incredible. And it was just, I took information from everybody. I actually even changed my point of view with my scar work on a certain area, and I've actually added research and added all the information from the Congress and spoken to other therapists and trainers who approached it from that point of view, and I've decided that I agree with them, and I've added that to my course.
Yeah, and your scar work is amazing. I mean, with my arm, I have a gunstock deformity in it, after about 20 to 25 minutes of that scar work, I mean, I got I'd say at least 15 more degrees and stuff. And
yay!
Yeah.
It is, you know what, as I tell everybody when they come to learn the scar work, it is not brain surgery by any way, shape, or form. I mean, come on, I came up with putting the technique together. It can't be all that hard. It's not like I'm brilliant or anything. The effects of it will blow your mind. It is amazing because it's very simple. It's very, very basic, that we need to address scars. Now that everybody's all into fascia, now, because I've been working with the scar work since I've been a massage therapist, and I started teaching the class when I saw there was a need for it over 5 years ago. And I just, you know, it's something so simplistic. It kind of sums up everything that we're saying. We make things so much difficult, and we label, and we look for the major disease or disorder or the major problem. And you know what? The problem might be coming from a tiny little scar you got when you were 3 years old and completely forgot about. But, you know, paying attention to how the body's supposed to work, including, and most importantly, the fascia and what its jobs are, and then if anything is affecting the fascia, whether it be a scar, adhesion, an emotional issue, it's going to affect the rest of the body. And to me, that is usually the root of most physical problems. If your basic techniques are not working, if whatever it is you choose to do isn't working, and the patient is coming back over and over and over again, all I can say to everybody out there is do me a favor and take a step back and say, okay, what am I not seeing? What is going on with this person, maybe fascially or emotionally, you know, and maybe I need to change the way I'm approaching it because what I'm doing isn't quite getting it or isn't quite enough. And just have a broader perspective of everything, and just, you know, in deference to John Lennon and his birthday, and he said, you know, we all should be getting along. Can't we all just get along and make it one big love fest?
And then, have you been to the Massage Therapy Foundation conference yet?
No, I have not. There's one coming up in Boston very soon. Next year, I think is it in March? Ruth will kill me. I believe it's March, and I plan to be there for that one. Again, if you have the opportunity and the financial ability to attend conferences, then please do so, because you learn. I'm not a huge, Ryan will tell you, I'm not a huge conference fan, but I do go to the conferences to get information when it's valid to what I need and to broaden my perspective on things. So the Massage Therapy Foundation, which is doing it the right way, it's talking about research, and it wants you to learn how to do research and pay attention to research, and that's what it's there for, besides increasing the understanding of what massage is all about to the general population. So they need your support, and you should attend a conference for them.
Yep, and it's in Boston. Yeah.
It's a little closer to me than Vancouver was for the Fascia Congress. So I'm a little bit happier there.
Yeah. And are there any other conferences out there, more research or evidence-based, or?
Well, there's always something for someone. There's always things inside conferences going on. I would like to put out there also, for everyone listening, that there are other classes you can take other than research and manual technique classes. There are organizations that are offering credits to massage therapists right alongside the doctors and nurses that will deal with subjects like anger management, emotional intelligence, specific diseases and disorders like autism and any diseases affecting the brain. And you're sitting in the room. So they're usually like $75 for the day. Actually, I'm going to reach over and say the name of one of them if they're here. No, okay, I won't find it now. But there's a couple of them out there, and they basically allow you to sit there and get the latest information. If I was dealing with it, I went to one class on depression, and it gave me all the latest meds, and it was very beneficial for me to know a month later when a new client came in and we filled out the medications, to know that these medications were antipsychotics. The last one I just went to, which was on toxic people and how to deal with them and how to recognize them, from narcissistic to every other type of personality, is beneficial to us. So I believe you need to take continuing education, but the same way I don't want you to pigeonhole and label yourself, I don't want you to just do with just technique classes, just business and ethics classes, add the research classes, but go out and learn about, take classes in everything that is relevant to your profession.
And are you going to ever be teaching at these kind of conferences then?
I'm actually teaching it will be at the New England Regional, the AMTA New England Regional in March. I am doing a couple of the AMTA local ones. I'm in Kansas, I believe, in February. So I am still teaching at some of the congresses. I do try to get around. I tend to prefer teaching longer seminars. I know everybody wants the mini class and in out in 3 hours or 6 hours, and I know time and money is an issue. But please, everybody out there who's listening, and on behalf of all the continuing educators out there, take the time to take full-length classes, 1, 2, 3-day classes, and truly learn and have the time and the ability to understand the techniques that you're learning. Listen to the lecture and apply it, and be there so that the instructor can actually correct you and make sure you have a good feel for it, and not just get you in and out in 3 hours and say, hey, if you get a chance, take my seminar.
And then with your new website, what kind of new bells and whistles are you going to have with that?
Oh, yay! I can take registration now. That's always nice. We have the store. You can actually order stuff off that. But other than that stuff, well, what you'll see on my site, the big bells and whistles is that I actually have renamed my two main techniques, which was the fast release fascial adhesion scar tissue release method, and the fast therapy, which is the flexibility and strength training therapy, which is my my scar work and my stretching and all the other aspects of things that I bring in. But there was some confusion. I personally thought that they were very succinct and well aptly named, that said basically what they are and what they do, and that the results are in fact fast. But there was confusion, so I took some time to sit down and say, okay, well, what is the best way to explain what I do? And we came up with a new name that really is a better name that actually does incorporate everything, and it's the STRAIGHT method, scar tissue release and integrated therapies method. And I'm actually renamed the stretching, which is a progressive form of active isolated stretching, and it's called Integrated Therapeutic Stretching, or ITS. And these bring in all the aspects, because I don't just teach, as Ryan can attest, I don't just teach one subject. I don't just say, here's my scar. I bring up everything else about body mechanics and emotional work and the stretching. And the same thing in my stretching class. And speaking of body mechanics, that's the other really great new thing about the site, is I have 2 new courses coming out for 2013. One is a body mechanics course, but it's based in proprioception. Not just stand at this angle and make sure you don't lean forward and come at this amount of pressure. It's more about understanding how the body functions and perspective of the body, and what we're aware of and what we're not. And then applying body mechanics for yourself and for your clients. As important for your client as anything else. And then I also have a client, the body mechanics class is called Elect, Know Your Elect. And the client communication class, which is called The Whole Picture, is again touching on the fact that I want people, our therapists, to be able to understand about emotional releases and how to deal with them and handle them within our scope of practice, because it can be done for the benefit of everyone. So all those classes are on there. There's also the new blog, the Holistic Toolbox that I mentioned earlier. What else? There's my lecture series. We're branching out to the general population, bringing the empowerment message of taking control of your own health and well-being out to the general population. And there's some pictures here and there. But overall, it's just a fun new site that's bringing out the new techniques, the new classes, and the whole new look, but still same great information. There's resources, everything out there. A little bit of something for everyone. So check it out, look at it, tell me what you think. Get back and say you like it, you don't like it, you got some suggestions. I'm always open for suggestions.
And you always say that I don't sleep. I think you don't sleep.
Oh, sure I do. I do. A couple of hours here and there.
Yeah.
Usually on a plane. Work on the plane. I'm sleeping on the plane.
And Travis asked in the chat, is there time recommendation to spend on a case study?
If he means to understand it, or does he mean to perform one? That's the question that I would ask. I'm a little confused with that one. If you're performing a case study, there's general guidelines and rules on how to conduct a case study, and for that, I would refer you to the Massage Therapy Foundation and Ruth Warner, where they have all the information you would need on how to conduct a proper case study. And if you're talking about as far as doing research for something, that's an individualistic understanding. And by the way, if you read a research and you don't understand it, ask someone to explain it. As I tell everyone, I have a 6-syllable vocabulary. However, I cannot enunciate past 4, and I can't spell past 2. Doesn't mean I don't know what the words mean. So, and if I don't understand something, or I can't pronounce something, I ask the person next to me, what is this? So make sure that if you're trying and you want to understand the research, but it's a little bit above you, find someone to help explain it to you in terms that you will understand. Do not be afraid of all the big words, because if you break them down, their big words are usually made up of a bunch of little ones.
Yeah. And so the best way for people to get a hold of you is through your website then, right?
They can get me through MarjorieBrooksSeminars.com. They can Facebook me on not Marjorie Brooks Seminars, but Brooks Seminars on Bodywork Education on Facebook. Please come join and like the page and have fun with some of the stuff that we're doing there. Or they can call me. My phone number is up on the website. If they want to talk about classes or techniques, or just need some advice on something, I'm always available. Or they can email me, Marjorie@MarjorieBrooksSeminars.com. And I will always get back to you. We can play Where is Marjorie in the World Today game, wherever I am. And I will do my best to I usually get back to everybody within a day or two at the latest. And if I don't have answers to your questions, I promise you I will redirect you to someone who can actually properly answer your questions, because that's what we're about, sharing the information.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Marjorie.
My pleasure, as always, Ryan.
Yep.
Minnesota and getting kicked out of another restaurant with you.
Yep. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in.